The last thing you see. The screen flickered, bathing the room in a pale, sickly light as Claire's phone buzzed insistently on her nightstand. Half asleep, she groggily swiped at it, squinting through the darkness. Her eyes took a moment to adjust before she could make out the words. It was a message, anonymous, with no number attached. "Do you see me?" Her pulse quickened. For a moment, she thought it was a prank, some kind of twisted spam, but something about it felt off. She ignored it, turned over, and pulled the blankets up over her head. Seconds later, another buzz, another message. Reluctantly, she peeked at the screen. "I'm watching you." Claire's throat tightened, and she forced herself to sit up, scanning the room. Nothing, just the familiar outlines of her bed, her desk, the closet across from her. She shook her head, trying to shake the growing dread creeping up her spine. Another buzz. "Don't look away from me." Her hands trembled as she lifted the phone again. Heart pounding, she typed back quickly, her fingers moving instinctively. "Who is this?" Silence stretched out, tense and unending. Just when she was about to put the phone down, it buzzed again. "Don't turn the light on." Claire's hand froze, inches from the lamp switch. Her pulse was deafening now, each beat a drum in her ears. She had no idea what to do. Every instinct screamed at her to get up, run, call someone, anyone. But she couldn't shake the feeling that whatever she did next would be wrong. A soft, almost inaudible sound caught her attention. The air in the room felt colder now, prickling against her skin. Her phone buzzed again. "Look closer." She felt something behind her. A presence, a hint of something not quite right. The air felt heavy, pressing down on her like a weight. She dared not turn, dared not give in to the panic rising in her throat. Another buzz. "Closer." She shut her eyes, telling herself it was all in her head, just a sick, twisted joke someone was playing. But when she opened her eyes again, she saw her screen had changed. The message wasn't just a line of text, it was a picture. A photo of her bed, taken from above. Claire's skin went cold. She was looking at herself in real time, her face pale, eyes wide with terror. And just beyond the edges of the photo, barely visible, was something else. A faint outline of a face, leering in the shadows just above her. A wide grin spread across it, twisted and wrong, as if mocking her. In a shaking breath, she moved her gaze away from the phone, inching her eyes up toward the ceiling. Her heart stopped. There was something there. She couldn't make out the details, but it was hanging just above her, arms outstretched, pressing itself toward her bed. Its eyes glowed faintly, 2 pinpricks of burning red that didn't blink. The mouth was wide, too wide, an unnatural grin that seemed to stretch endlessly. Her phone buzzed again. "Closer." She could feel it, sense it leaning closer, feel its breath. A frigid, sour exhale that made her gag. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Every nerve in her body was screaming at her to get up, to run, but she couldn't tear her gaze from the figure above. Buzz. Another photo. This time, it was of her face. Her own terrified reflection staring back at her. Every feature distorted by the screen's faint glow. But there was something wrong with the picture. Her reflection's eyes were no longer her own. They were the same burning red she'd seen in that creature's face. The room filled with an unbearable silence, pressing on her, surrounding her. Then, slowly, she felt it lean closer. She couldn't see it anymore, but she could sense it, almost feel the chill as its face pressed closer to hers. Lips stretched in that awful, endless grin. Its voice crackled through her phone, a distorted whisper that chilled her to her core. "You're mine now." And then darkness. 3 days later, her roommate returned home, finding Claire's bed neatly made, her phone abandoned on the nightstand. But no one ever heard from her again. The police searched her room thoroughly, finding no signs of a struggle, no clues as to her whereabouts. Only her phone was left behind, drained of battery, displaying a single final message. "Do you see me?"